Chapter 21, Part 3, 11th of March 2019, 10:45 a.m. Well, here I am, Covent Garden. It's raining today, but there are still plenty of tourists and shoppers around. Another expensive coffee shop. Not much change from a fiver for a cup of brown grit in a cardboard cup. If I don't get out of London soon, I'm not going to have much of that £10,000 left. Another missed call from Mum. I'll return her call at lunchtime, after an hour in the museum. I don't really know what I'm expecting to find in here, but hopefully I will learn a little bit of what life was like then, in that era, if nothing else. I will update again before calling Mum. 12:15 p.m. Well, it's a bloody good museum. Very interesting. I've learned a lot about the tube, the trams and the bus system, but nothing about who worked for them, other than a display featuring migrant workers from the West Indies. Minimum pay for maximum work, and a good dose of racism thrown in for good measure. The streets were certainly not paved with gold, and it must have been hell for those people. If they were confronted by the likes of Albert, they wouldn't have stood a chance. I'm still seething from having to part with all that money. I could think of a more appropriate name than the Oracle for him, but I won't list them here, Mr. Diary. It was suggested by a staff member that I try the National Archive in Kew, South London. That might be an option later. I'll give Mum a call now and get back on with the search. 1:15 p.m. I'm sat back in the coffee shop drinking another cup of brown grit and feeling like an absolute idiot. An elite private investigator? Who am I trying to kid? What a fool I am. Bloody Albert and the rest of that collection of streetwise misfits must have seen me coming a mile off. I was so eager to swallow any story he told me. Literally. I can laugh about it now, but I'll never tell anyone of this. My reputation would be in tatters. I'm losing it. I should just hand the case over to my mother. Apparently, Daniel Frankenberg never worked on the London buses. What a gullible idiot I'd been. That Jewish phantom with the American passport ceased to be as soon as his foot stepped back on English soil. Ernie was back. It seems he used the old identity to get back the passport and paperwork to get home, but then discarded that identity as soon as he could. He was in the wind again. And how do I know? Because my mum found out with hardly any effort at all. I did not record our conversation, but I'll summarise it below, and it went something like this. I found him, son. At first I started with Daniel Frankenberg, but I got nowhere with him. Then I tried Ernie Grimshaw and found him. Facebook. I know you're not on it, but it's a treasure trove of information if you know where to look. I love it. I joined some of the Bethnal Green social and history groups. Loads of them. Mostly people sharing photos from the good old days. But I put a post on to find Daniel, but I got nowhere. I repeated the post and changed the name to Ernie Grimshaw, and it started getting likes and comments. I said I was looking for information about Ernie from when he lived in that area around 1965. You'd be surprised how many people knew him. As she was talking, I was thinking two things. One, having been through all of that, what I'd been through the last month, nothing would surprise me about that man. And two, Albert Proudlock, the Oracle, he didn't bloody know him, or anyone else for that matter. Mum went on. A couple remembered him from Winkley Street. One described him as a friendly soul who got along with everyone. I said to myself, he's our man. He didn't stay there long, though. He moved to a flat just off Brick Lane, someone else said. He had a stall on the market, a flower stall. Bloomin' Marvellous, it was called. Once that was mentioned, the comments came flooding in. I went to bed about midnight and checked first thing this morning. The post had over 300 likes and nearly 70 comments. Loads of folk remember the stall and Ernie. Some put pictures on front of the market, and someone pointed out another Facebook group to me about the Brick Lane market itself. I joined it and I'm waiting to be accepted. Doesn't take long usually. It has a few thousand members, so I'm sure there'll be someone there who would know him as well. I'll keep an eye on it this afternoon and see what we get back. Did you have any joy yourself? Yes, mother, I thought. I met a nice Pole. I tried to con a Russian. I drank beer in a sewer and I got ripped off by a lion conniving, filthy octogenarian. I didn't tell her that, though. I didn't tell her anything. I asked her one question. Did they say if he worked on the buses in London? Mum replied, No, no one mentioned the buses. I doubt it anyway. I don't think he could drive. Oh, I forgot to mention that part, didn't I? He had trouble with his eyes for a bit. Not sure why. One local wag called him the blind beggar when he first turned up to work on the market. You know, after the infamous pub in the area that the Crace twins shot and killed someone in. The blind beggar, remember? Anyway, he didn't seem to have two pennies to rub together when he first arrived. But I think he soon changed. It changed after that. He must have been a character on that market. A lot of people remember him, and many have an anecdote to tell. I'll give you a text later on today and let you know what else I find out. You ought to get on this Facebook thing. You can find out all sorts. Anyway, have yourself a lovely day, son. And if you find anything out, let me know. Bye bye. I looked out of the window, only to see a juggling clown performing badly, and the irony was not lost on me. I may as well spend the rest of the afternoon in tourist mode and wait to see what she comes back with. I've never been one for social media. Maybe I should. I thought it was all about trolls and keyboard warriors. Who would have thought that Ernie Grimshaw is on the internet more than I am?